Hello, I'm Joan Landis, and I'm really glad to be with you again. So today we're talking about the emotional needs that we need to have be met in our relationship with other people, okay? And so this is really important stuff. These are not necessarily the physical needs, food, shelter, and water. This is the emotional needs that we typically look to other people to help us to meet, because we are wired to be in relationships to have our needs met, right? So there's a book that was written by Dr. Willard Harley, and that's Harley. It's kind of an oldie but a goodie. It's a classic, and it's called His Needs, Her Needs, How to Affair-Proof Your Marriage. Now, don't let the affair-proof kind of scare you away if you're not having those problems. It's a really good basic book about the different needs that partners and spouses have and that they are hoping are going to be met in this relationship. And so if you will take some time to kind of go through these concepts or maybe even get the book, I would encourage you to buy the book. It's actually fairly cheap on Amazon. Go ahead and read it. Read a half a chapter a night together and see if it doesn't kind of spark some ideas for you about ways that your marriage can be more emotionally satisfying, filling each other's needs. So here are some of the basic needs that he has over his, 45 years or so of counseling couples, kind of distilled that he has seen over and over again, and just see if these speak to you. So the first one is affection. Okay, now affection is not sex. Okay, affection is like tokens of appreciation and expressions of love and things that remind the receiver that there is affection out there for them. And so this could be just a lot of different actions. Now, if we're going back to the love languages, it could be multiple different love languages, or it might be the top 2 love languages. But it's the need that we're trying to have filled very often is this need for affection. Okay, that someone likes me, someone likes to be with me, someone has tender feelings towards me, someone wants to care for me, someone wants to protect me, someone wants to be there for me. And so that's affection. And Dr. Harley talks about a client who, was writing out for her husband what an A+ affection day would look like for her. And it just totally blew her husband away. It started out with, okay, in the morning before we get out of bed, we cuddle and snuggle, and you tell me that you love me, and I tell you love you, and I stroke your face. And then we get up and we're getting dressed, and you pat me on my, what part of my body is we're passing each other, and then we have a nice little breakfast together, and we look at each other in our eyes and talk about what our day has got going. We're not looking at our screens or TVs or anything. And then we hug and kiss before we leave. And while we're gone from each other, you call or text me a couple of times just to check in. How are you? How are you feeling? How's your day going? And then you come home pretty close to on time, and maybe you bring me a little thoughtful gift or flower or a note or something. Maybe you've left a note for me that I find during the day and tells me that you love me. And then you come home and maybe there's a little gift, and we help make dinner together, and we talk during dinner about how our day went and the feelings and all that and challenges we have. And then after that, we have coffee and dessert together, just us two, on the veranda, and then we both do a little bit of jobs and work, but then we snuggle together and we maybe watch a little movie together, a little bit of TV, and then at night we snuggle together and kiss each other, tell each other that we love each other, and fall asleep. Okay, so that would be some people's A+ affection day. And very often their partner has no clue that would mean an amazing amount of love to them. And so as we go through this list, and I'm going to have you fill out a kind of a questionnaire about it too, it will help you kind of make obvious where things could be improved and where you could actually get your needs met a little better and how you can meet the needs of your partner better. So it's kind of cool stuff. So that's affection. The next one is sexual fulfillment. I think that's fairly self-explanatory. The next one is intimate conversation. right? Being able to talk and share feelings and details and tender things, that we can be vulnerable, we can laugh, we can cry, we can feel really connected, and so that's intimate conversation, and that's often very important to a lot of females, you know. Another one is recreational companionship. This is often very important to males. And often what happens in the courtship is a woman will kind of go along with the process because she wants to be with this man. And so even though she's really not outdoorsy, you know, she'll go duck hunting with him, and she'll go hiking with him because he loves it. She wants to be with him. And he's like, wow, this is really great. I found a woman that just loves to be outside. This is a perfect match. Let's get married. They get married, they have a kid or so. And the woman's like, you know, I don't really like to be outside that much. I would rather watch a movie and eat popcorn. And he's like, what? You know, I thought you loved being outside. I thought when I married you, I thought you were going to be with me when we're out, you know, when for recreation. I thought that's what you wanted. And it can be quite a shock to the couple to realize that the one thought something and the other one thought the other thing. So, you know, as you're courting, just kind of notice. You might even ask some questions. It's like, you know, do you really like doing this stuff, or are you just doing it for me? And one of the dead giveaways is, did they do that stuff before? Okay, if suddenly they're making a lifestyle change and they're becoming all like super gym rat when before they weren't, you know, you have to kind of think there's a chance that may kind of fall off after you're married. And so could you deal with that? And so recreational companionship often is quite important to men especially. Physical attractiveness is often important to both, but men being a little more visual, I think a lot of times men put a little more stock in that. And so that's just one of the things that that means a lot to them, you know. And I think it goes both ways, but I think maybe a little bit more for the men than for the women. So just something to think about. Honesty and openness. Now that really is important, often to both genders, and that's basically being very honest about where you're at. And so a form of dishonesty is when a partner says, honey, is anything wrong? And the partner says, no, nothing's wrong. But there really is, right? And that's actually a form of dishonesty. And so it can be very frustrating to your partner. And so honesty and openness and being able to say, yeah, this is where I am right now. I'm struggling with this. I like this. This is not so good. And being able to gently be open and not blaming and critical, but express feelings in an honest and open, frank manner, but not in a cruel manner. So that's very important. Financial support. Now this book was written, you know, really seriously like 20 or 30 years ago. And so, you know, I think in that generation, it was more expected that women would receive the financial support from their spouses or husbands. And now it's probably a little less so, but still, you'll find that a lot of women really do want that security, that financial security. It's very important to a lot of women, whereas men sometimes will be a little more risk. You know, they'll take risks and not really worry about being so financially secure. And sometimes that can actually make problems in the marriage too, because the woman's like, no, we need to save money, we need to have retirement, we need to have a nest egg. You know, as Dave Ramsey says, women have like the security gland that they want to feel secure, and the finances represent that. But if the men don't understand that need for financial support, then they might totally miss the way that they can meet their wife's needs. All right, and then another one is domestic support. So again, this is written 20 or 30 years ago, but you know, it still kind of holds true. Somebody needs to wash the clothes, and somebody needs to wipe off the counters and do the dishes and cook. And so how is this all going to work out? I think there's a lot more flexibility nowadays than there was, you know, a generation or two ago. And that's fine. Whatever works for you. Like I said, my husband has become this amazing cook. He loves to cook. And the joke is, you know, somebody asked him, well, you know, how come you became such a great cook? And his answer was, well, somebody had to learn, right? So it's a little bit of a joke, but he really enjoys it. He will come home from work and he will start making bread because it's very relaxing and he loves it. Whereas me, I'm like, oh, that's just one more thing to do. I will clean. I'll clean the kitchen afterwards. And so, whatever works. But domestic support on some level is very important for both of us to provide. Family commitment is a very intense need. And remember, we talked about having these fantastic family relationships. And the number one thing is you have to be committed to family. That has to be your first priority. If it's not, everybody will feel a little less secure, safe, and loved. And so family commitment is very, very important, that both partners are saying our family is the first thing. Now, occasionally there's a little adjustment that needs to go on, but in their heart, the family is the most important. So that's very, very important. And then the last one is one that you probably would not have predicted, and this is admiration. Especially if you're a woman. A lot of women don't get this one, but a lot of men need to be admired and respected. And this has to do, I believe it has to do with core issues of worth. If they feel like they have to continue to prove themselves to feel worthwhile, that's their coping mechanism to deal with core issues, feeling kind of worthless, then that just is part and parcel of it, that as they strive to perform well in order to feel worthwhile, they really need someone to acknowledge that. Right? It helps them if someone on the outside acknowledges. Now, if they are very good at self-validation, they need less of that. But maybe they're not so good at self-validation. And so they really rely on the people around them to give them some props and to notice the good things they're doing, to notice their successes, and to respect and admire them for their accomplishments, whatever they are. And so as a spouse of most men, you need to understand that is something that we often forget to give, and that is very, very, very important to them. Just, it's just almost, it's very important. So, all right. So what I would love for you to do is I would love you to go on our website and get the link that takes you to a copy of the emotional needs assessment, and have one that you can do for yourself, and print out another one that you can have your spouse or partner do, and start comparing notes and seeing where you have overlap and where you have some disconnect, and what surprises you find out. You're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. And you can have other dimensions rather than the ones we just talked about, and you can put those down. Maybe there's other things, but these are kind of the basic ones. And so take the assessment, fill it out, and share it with your partner, and see what surprises you have, and then we'll decide on the next lesson what you're going to do with that. So have fun with that, and we'll see you soon. Thanks. Bye.